Harrison's Secret. That night, I sat in the chair beside Harrison's bed, looked down at his tired, worn face, trying to find something that was the same as mine. Did he have the same eyes as mine? Or the same kind of chin? Or forehead? But truth is, no matter how hard I looked, I couldn't see a thing. He looked the same as always. Nothing like me. I took the roll of gray yarn out of my pocket and thought about my mama in Canada. I wondered if I saw her, if there would be anything that was the same as me. Gingerbread skin, Lily always said. She had the same kind of skinny long bones you have and gingerbread skin. Or maybe I wouldn't know her either. Around me and Harrison, the room changed from evening gray to night black to the blue shadows of early morning. Sitting there thinking, I was afraid to close my eyes. Seemed like if I did, Harrison and my mama would get up and leave me altogether, would slip through my fingers like water and disappear. And then, as the first sun came into the room, Harrison opened his eyes. Just like that. He turned his head, looked over at me, and said sharp and clear as a bell, "Where we at, Samuel?" He waved his arm toward the little window. "This Canada?" "Belle! August!" I hollered. They came running up the stairs, still in their nightclothes. "Oh, Lord, Lord, Lord," I heard Belle say to August. "What we gonna do now?" She came into the room with her hand pressed against her mouth and her hair stuck out all over her head. And August came in with his head bowed down in his palms. You could have knocked them both over with a feather when they saw that Harrison had his eyes open and wasn't dead. That very same day, Harrison sat up and ate 3 spoonfuls of soup by himself. And the next day, he ate a whole corn cake and a bowl of stew. But I waited one more day before I asked Harrison about his wife and the baby in the hayloft. Belle Henry said I should have known better than to ask him questions, even then. But he was sitting back against a pillow, eating a bowl of ham soup. Looked almost like his old self. And so I said, real quiet, "You ever have a wife called Belle?" That stopped the spoon right in front of his mouth, and he looked at me. "Who told you that?" he said sharp. My heart thudded, and seemed like all the words I had thought of saying dried up in my mouth. "When you had the fever, you was calling out for people and your wife, Belle," I said low, keeping my eyes down. "Only I didn't know you had a wife called Belle." "You ain't supposed to know, that's why." Harrison glared at me. "Ain't no secrets no more, I guess." He circled his spoon around and around the bowl fast. "Well, I does know," I kept on. Harrison sighed aloud. "My wife, Belle, she worked in the kitchen with Lily," he said. "Years and years ago, way before you was born." "Someone took her away?" Harrison looked hard at me. "You want to know what happened to Belle?" he said. "She was lost in a card game. Old Mas Hackler, he come into the kitchen one night and told her, 'Belle, you belong to Master West now. He won you in the game of cards we were playing fair and square, and he's going to take you with him tomorrow to Virginia.'" Harrison stared over at the window. "That night, me and Belle run off." His voice got quiet. "That was a long, long time ago. We hid in that same tree you and me sat in, and the next day we run to the hayloft of an old barn, and that's where we got caught, in that hayloft." "That when they took Belle away?" Harrison closed his eyes and nodded. "Old Mas Hackler, he brought me home and beat me till even Lily figured I would die. And the other master took Belle away, and I never set eyes on her again, never heard of her again, and—" Harrison's eyes snapped open. "So that's who my wife Belle was," he said sharp. "Long, long time ago. Now, I ain't talking about that old past no more. Take this bowl downstairs." He smacked the soup bowl on the bed table and waved his hand toward the door. "For the room is full of flies." Downstairs, I could hear August and Belle talking, and the rhythmic thump of the spinning wheel. Truth is, I shouldn't have said another word. But just before I walked down the stairs, I turned around and said quick, "Was there a baby when you run off too?" Harrison leaned forward and fixed his eyes on me. "I didn't say nothing about a baby," he whispered, his eyes crackling fire. "Did I?" I looked down at that empty soup bowl, not daring to say another word. Know how many I lost in my life, Samuel? Harrison hissed. I lost as many people as there is stars on this quilt. Poking a finger at each star, he recited names I'd never heard before. Mary Epps, my birth mama, sold. My father, James Johnson, whipped to death. Emmeline and Rebecca, my two little sisters, one sold, one sent off as a wedding gift. My three brothers, Abraham, Charles, and James. He jabbed a finger at 3 stars. All put in irons and sold south, same time they sold me north to old Mass Hackler. He crumpled the corner of the quilt in his hands. And my only wife, Belle, worth more than all the stars in the sky, took away from me and never heard from again. He raised a trembling finger and pointed at me. I don't know what you heard, Samuel, but I ain't answering no more of your questions. It's better to be all alone in this world. You just remember that. You can't lose nothing then. After your mama was sold, I told Lily that the Lord Almighty could strike me down, but I was going to raise you as if you was all alone in this world. Maybe someday, if we get free, maybe I'll tell him then, I said. I knew it sure as anything. Harrison was my granddaddy. Why are you standing there staring at me? He snapped. Go on downstairs and leave me be. Then he closed his eyes, folded his arms across his chest, and wouldn't say another word. Didn't matter, though. Word went around the Negro Hollow that snow was on its way that night, and there was no more time for talking anyhow. Snow coming. Snow?